Greetings and welcome to our daily Devo for Thursday, November the 9th today. And the devotion is entitled, Live Like the People of God. So important. We can claim it, but we've got to live it too to back that up, back that claim up. Luke 11:37 to Luke 12:12 is the passage for today. Chapter 12, verse 1 is the quoted verse. Be on your guard against the yeast of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. We all have role models, and in Judea, many viewed the Pharisees as setting the bar for righteous living. Here in Luke 11 and 12, we hear Jesus boldly attack these paragons of virtue, calling out their shortcomings and interweaving a description of what it means to live like the people of God. The sharply worded criticism began even before dinner was served. A Pharisee had invited Jesus to dine in his home and then criticized him for not washing his hands using a ritual practiced by the Pharisees. I suspect the Pharisee wished he had kept quiet, because this initiated a long and pointed critique. Jesus called out the false piety of these religious teachers, reflected in the ritual washing of vessels and tithing of herbs. He came down on their self-aggrandizing behaviors, like choosing the seats of honor in the synagogue and basking in respectful greetings in the marketplace. He highlighted their complicity in the shameful treatment of God's messengers, noting murders that span Old Testament history, from the murder of Abel, Genesis 4:8, to the murder of Zechariah the priest in 2 Chronicles 24. But even more stunning was their failure to properly employ, quote unquote, the key to knowledge, Luke 11:52. That key is the core message of forgiveness that opens the door to the rest of God's revelation. Within this critical review of the Pharisees, Jesus highlighted the behaviors that marked authentic believers. He begins with generosity to the poor and champions social justice fueled by love for God. But Jesus lingers most on confident witness. This witness naturally flows from two realities. First, the Lord is constantly aware of our circumstances. Jesus illustrates this awareness by pointing to the sparrows sold in the market. A denarius was a day's wage for a common laborer. 5 sparrows were sold for 1/16 of a denarius. But Jesus says in Luke 12:6, yet not one of them is forgotten by God. The Lord even knows the exact number of hairs on our head. I'll not do any bald jokes. We can be confident in our witness because we live under God's watchful eye. And lest we be concerned that we will be embarrassed by not having the right words, Jesus says that the Holy Spirit will provide the very words that are right for that moment and place in verses 11 and 12. Generosity, social justice, and confident witness. This is what it means to live like the people of God. I love it. I love it. It's always been the problem for the witness of Christ in this world, that his people don't live like his people. It was the problem in Israel for their history. They claimed to be God's chosen people and then acted like the unbelievers around them. Today is no different. The day and age in which we are living is no different. We claim to hold holy beliefs, lifestyles, choices, And yet we put these things forward oftentimes with so much hatred and condemnation, just like the Pharisees would do. Just like the Pharisees would do. Instead of reaching out in compassion, instead of reaching out with the truth and the light that we're called to reach out with, instead we use the ways of the world. We think we can change things by using the ways of the world. It broke my heart, and I don't want to be political here, but it broke my heart on that January 6th to see people carrying political signs next to crosses. To hear people who would claim to be followers of God, believers in God, calling for a man to be hung, being violent, beating others up, violence. That is not the way of God. We are to love our enemies. We're to pray for our enemies. We are to put out, live out, and speak out the gospel, which is the power of God for salvation. If we really want to see our culture changed, we do it with spiritual weapons, because that's what we've been given to tear down the strongholds of darkness. Pharisees thought they could run the religion with rules and regulations, and they got caught up in hypocrisy. All the while they're condemning Jesus, judging Jesus because he didn't wash his hands, or he let his disciples pick grain from the field on a Sabbath, or he healed a man on the Sabbath. Here they are plotting murder against him. Here they are bribing one of his followers to turn him in. Here they are saying they want a Messiah who will bring liberty to Israel from Rome. Here they are going to the Roman authorities to use them for their purposes. Even the world hates hypocrites. And certainly Jesus, over and over again to the Pharisees, woe, woe to you, Pharisees. Over and over again, you say this, but you do this. You're phonies. We are not going to reveal a life that we are the people of God unless we're living honestly and truthfully the truth of the gospel in our lives. The truth of the gospel, the lifestyle that we live needs to show this, reflect this, the choices we make, the priorities that we have, and the priorities need to be kingdom ones. The Lord's kingdom. Bless you today on this day, and let's make it a mental commitment each day. I am going to live like a person of God is supposed to live. And pray for that help. Pray for the Holy Spirit's help and insight to put us in check when we start getting away from the model of Jesus in our lives. Blessings to you today.